Okay, look down at your jeans right now, or maybe just picture them if you weren't wearing any. You know that tiny, kind of useless looking pocket tucked inside the front right pocket? We all just sort of accept it's there, right? Maybe you crammed some loose change into it or a lip balm. But did you know it actually has a deeply specific historical origin that we've just completely forgotten about? And honestly, that's exactly what we're going to uncover today. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to peel back the layers of reality on completely disconnected, entirely mundane things to reveal some genuinely mind-blowing facts. You and I pass by objects, phenomena, and historical facts every single day without giving them a second thought. But today, we're looking closer. We're going to expose the hidden world and hidden purposes sitting right under our noses. So here's our agenda for today's journey. First, secrets of everyday objects. Second, mysteries of the mind. Third, surprising biological connections. And fourth, space and society's oddities. Let's dive right in. Section 1. Secrets of everyday objects. Shifting our focus to the seemingly boring stuff sitting right on your desk or hanging in your closet. You probably think you know exactly what they're for, right? Well, the original designers had completely different intentions. Going back to that tiny jeans pocket, we just assume it's a modern aesthetic choice or a place to lose our loose change. But the real purpose dates all the way back to when Levi's first designed them in the 19th century. They were created specifically to protect expensive pocket watches. Cowboys and laborers literally needed a tight, secure place where their delicate watches wouldn't get scratched, smashed, or fall out while they were riding horses or working hard. As wristwatches became the norm, the pocket just kind of stayed put, becoming this weird little relic of the past hiding in our modern wardrobes. Let's move over to your desk, because this really starts to build. You know that little hole at the end of a wooden or plastic ruler? No, it wasn't for spinning the ruler on your pencil, as fun as that is. Back before modern pencil cases were a thing, students needed a way to store rulers without snapping them. So the hole was literally designed for practical storage. You hang the ruler safely on a nail or a hook on the wall. And what about notebook margins? Those red lines aren't just there to give your teacher a place to write grades. Historically, homes had terrible rat problems, and rats love to chew the edges of paper. So the margin was created as a blank, safe zone. If a rat gnawed on the edges of your book, all your important notes inside remained perfectly safe. Crazy, right? And speaking of school supplies, this next one brilliantly shows how design can literally save lives. Look at the holes at the top of pen caps. We usually assume it's just a way to save on plastic, or maybe balance the pen. But its real purpose is an absolute lifesaver. See, small children, and honestly a lot of stressed out students, have a bad habit of chewing on pen caps. If accidentally swallowed, that cap can easily get lodged in the throat. That tiny hole is explicitly engineered to allow direct airflow to the lungs so a person won't suffocate while they wait for medical help. It is pure, invisible genius. Just to wrap up our everyday objects, let's look at the famous Nataraj pencil. You'd instantly recognize it by that distinct black painted top. Again, this isn't just for looks. That dark coat serves an absolutely vital protective purpose. It seals the exposed wood at the top from moisture, which prevents the whole pencil from crocking or splitting down the middle over time, all while giving it a super clean, finished appearance for branding. Even the paint is working hard for you. Section 2. Mysteries of the Mind. Now that we've seen how physical objects hold all these hidden truths, let's slow the pace down a bit and get a little more mysterious. We're going to move inward, away from the physical world, and directly into the incredible and sometimes honestly terrifying illusions created by our very own brains. Take sensory deprivation. The absolutely crucial thing to understand here is how your brain reacts to absolute nothingness. When you sit in a completely dark, completely silent room with no visual or audio signals feeding in, your brain literally panics. It dislikes the void so much that it frantically starts creating its own reality to fill the gap. You might start hallucinating faint sounds, seeing shifting shadows, or even feeling the intense physical presence of someone else in the room. It's not ghosts or the supernatural, it's simply your brain's natural, desperate reaction when the sensory cord is cut. And this connects perfectly to something a lot of people actually live with: tinnitus. Imagine sitting alone in a quiet room, and suddenly you hear this high-pitched ringing, a buzzing, or a hissing sound. There is zero external noise, yet the sound is undeniably loud to you. This is another really fascinating way the brain just generates its own auditory world. It's basically an internal glitch where your brain processes signals that aren't actually coming from the outside environment at all. Okay, tell me if this has happened to you. Have you ever argued with a friend or a family member about a past event, feeling absolutely 100% sure that it happened your way, only to find out later you were completely wrong? That, my friends, is a false memory. The brain is incredibly efficient, but like we said, it hates empty spaces. So when it recalls an event with missing details, it actively mixes real experiences with pure imagination to fill in the gaps. The result is a vivid, exact feeling memory that your brain fully believes is real, even though it's entirely fabricated. It really makes you question what you know for sure. But hey, it's not all glitches and hallucinations. We can actually upgrade our own mental hardware. When researchers studied Albert Einstein's brain after he passed away, they found that certain regions associated with thinking and problem solving were physically larger than normal. But here is the cool part, and why this matters to you. His brain structure wasn't entirely magic. Because of neuroplasticity, you can actively build your own reasoning skills. By regularly engaging in tasks like solving a Rubik's Cube or doing complex puzzles, you can literally strengthen those exact same problem-solving regions in your own brain. You can build a better brain. Section 3. Surprising biological connections. Let's shift our energy back to a sense of absolute wonder as we transition from the brain's software into the raw, tangible hardware of biology and history. This one is going to completely challenge how you perceive time and life itself. Did you know that you are biologically connected to 3 generations simultaneously? Think about it this way. When a female fetus is developing in the womb, she already possesses the starting egg cells that could one day become her children. Let's trace that backward. When your mother was a fetus inside your grandmother's womb, the exact unique starting egg cell that would eventually become you already existed within her. That means 3 distinct generations of your family biologically coexisted at the exact same moment in time. Mind-blowing, right? Now, from the miracle of birth, let's pivot to a tool that has a deeply shocking history. Today, we know the chainsaw as this massive, roaring piece of machinery used by lumberjacks for cutting down thick trees. But look at its 18th century origin. It was actually invented as a small, hand-operated medical tool. Yeah, you heard that right. Doctors used this original, terrifying little device to assist in incredibly difficult childbirths when normal delivery just wasn't possible. It was a slow, manual cutting tool designed specifically for bone, drastically predating modern surgical methods. Talk about an unexpected and thankful evolution. Let's wash that thought down with something a bit sweeter. Consider the food sitting in your pantry right now. It all expires, right? Well, scientists have discovered sealed containers of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that are roughly 3,000 to 5,000 years old. And, amazingly, it is perfectly safe to eat today. Honey naturally boasts an extremely low moisture content and a very high acidity level, which means bacteria and microorganisms simply cannot survive inside it. As long as it is sealed tight, honey is effectively immortal. Section 4. Space and Society's Oddities. For our final chapter, we are zooming all the way out. We're leaving biology and the Earth itself behind to explore the cosmos, before coming back down to some of the most bizarre realities of modern society. 400,000 kilometers. That is the massive average distance between the Earth and the Moon. When we look up at the night sky, the Moon looks like it's just hovering right next door, doesn't it? But human perception is terribly ill-equipped to grasp cosmic scale. 400,000 kilometers is a staggering, mind-bending void. Let me give you a visual comparison to prove it. To really put that into perspective, if you were to take every single planet in our entire solar system, Mercury, Venus, Mars, the massive gas giants Jupiter and Saturn, Uranus and Neptune, and you line them all up side by side, their combined diameter would fit neatly inside the empty gap between the Earth and the Moon. Every single planet. That is how wildly vast and empty this space right next door to us truly is. And speaking of space, let's do a quick reality check on meteorites. We constantly see these big blockbuster movies about space rocks crashing down and ending cities. The truth? Thousands of meteorites enter Earth's atmosphere every single year. But you absolutely do not need to panic. The vast majority completely burn up due to atmospheric friction before they ever reach the ground. The few that actually survive almost entirely fall into the massive empty oceans. In fact, in all of recorded human history, there are 0 confirmed human deaths from a meteorite strike. There's only one famously rare case of a lady being struck by a tiny fragment, and she completely survived. Coming back down to Earth, society is changing in some really fascinating ways right under our noses. In September 2024, the highly respected University of Exeter in the UK launched a completely serious postgraduate MA program in magic and occult sciences. And no, this isn't a joke or a pop culture gimmick. Driven by an immense surge of interest from youth culture, subjects like astrology, tarot, and hidden belief systems are shifting from mere superstition into a rigorous, totally serious academic study of human history and sociology. And while academia is busy studying the occult, other bizarre pieces of pop culture just quietly continue on in the background. Remember Bubbles the chimp? Michael Jackson's incredibly famous pet from the 1980s? You'd probably assume he passed away a long time ago, but Bubbles is currently over 40 years old. Since 2005, he has been living this quiet, peaceful life at a sanctuary in Florida alongside a bunch of other retired apes. It just goes to show how high-profile stories from decades ago are often still quietly unfolding right now while we aren't looking. Before we wrap up this explainer, let's talk for a second about perception. Think about this comparison between cold coffee and warm soda. If you leave a cold coffee out of the fridge to warm up and a warm soda out to cool down, they will eventually reach the exact same relative room temperature. Yet, to our tongues, one feels warm and the other feels cold. Why? It's based entirely on our expectations and the surrounding environment. Our entire perception of hot and cold is often just an illusion, which really highlights how our reality is shaped by relative context, not absolute facts. Which kind of brings us to our final, lingering thought for today. Just like hot and cold are totally relative, so is morality in daily life. You interact with dozens of people every single day. A casual remark you made this morning might have been completely forgotten by you, but it could have been deeply impactful or even hurtful to someone else. Statistically speaking, based purely on differing perspectives, you are undoubtedly the absolute hero in someone's life story, but you are also absolutely the villain in someone else's, entirely without knowing it. So what I want you to take away from this entire journey through these hidden realities is this. Whose story are you the villain in today? Think about that, and keep looking beneath the surface.